All right, equilateral, equiangular, and regular. Now, equilateral, we get hung up on this. I really want you to remember this. Lateral means sides. That's just a math word for sides. Sometimes math people want to make things difficult. They make up fancy names. Lateral means sides. What's angular mean? That's not too bad. It means angles, doesn't it? So, what's equilateral mean? It means equal sides. Notice that in my figure, I attempted to make all the sides look like they're equal. So, when you have a figure where all the sides are equal, but all the angles are not, notice these angles are not all the same. This angle is a little wider than this one. If I really wanted to exaggerate this a little bit, I might, let me think of an example here. I might want to make the, a figure like this. So I'll make a longer top, and maybe something like this, you know, like that, okay? In fact, that's not a good example because I want it to be equilateral. Let me try it one more time. So here, 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 here. All sides, I attempted to make it look like all sides are the same, but all the angles, notice this angle is not the same as this angle. So, equilateral, all sides are equal, all angles are not. Sides are equal. Equiangular means all the angles are equal. Notice all these have the same line, but all the sides aren't. You can certainly see that this side isn't the same length as this side. So equiangular, all angles are equal, all the sides are not. Now how about if all sides are equal and all angles are equal? That's what we call a regular figure. So try to use what I said, lateral meaning sides, angular meaning angles, and so on to remember these. Notice here I have all regular figures. All the sides are equal, or it looks like they're equal, and all the angles are equal. Same thing here. All sides equal, all angles, looks like they're all 90 degrees, are equal, and so on and so forth. All right, triangles. Told you this was going to be a long section. Triangles. Now, triangles are a three-sided figure. Now, we can categorize triangles either by their angles, which I put here, or you can classify triangles by their sides. Now, angles, how about if a triangle has a right angle in it, like I have my diagram? It's a right triangle. Or how about if my triangle has three acute? What's acute mean again? All three angles, and I'm going to put down all three angles have to be less than 90 acute. It's an acute triangle. How about if I have a triangle where one angle is obtuse? And in fact, you can only have one angle that's obtuse. It's impossible to have two obtuse angles because you get a figure that where the angles would add up to more than 180 degrees. Remember, in a triangle, all the angles have to add up to 180 degrees. They have to add up to exactly 180, or else they won't meet. If all the angles are the same, so say that we had a 60 degree, 60 degree, 60 degree, if they're all the same, you've got an equilateral triangle. Or equiangular, I should say, since we're talking about angles. Now the sides, how about if we have what we call a scalene triangle? Scalene means none of the sides are the same. Look at my figure there. It doesn't look like any of those sides are the same. Scalene. How about if two of the sides are the same lengths? Isosceles. How about if all three sides are the same length? Equilateral. So I have scalene, none of the sides are equal. Isosceles, two of the sides are equal. Equilateral, all three of the sides are equal. Now, I could have a situation where, suppose I asked you to draw a right isosceles triangle. I'll use a symbol for triangle there. So, I got to have a right angle in it, and I got to have two equal sides. Well, one way you could do this, let's see, I'm going to just kind of eye this. I'm going to make my two equal sides. And then I have my perfect L shape. and then I have a little longer side here. That's a right isosceles triangle. Think about other things. How about, let's see, how about a right equilateral triangle? How would I change this one? Well, I'd want to change it so that all the sides are equal, and I'd have a right equilateral triangle then. Now, ignore the 11 here. It's just an example. What do we say the three angles of a triangle have to add up to? These three angles have to add up to exactly 180. They have to add up to exactly 180. Otherwise, you're not going to have a triangle. That's just a little, that should meet there. So if I add 80 and 50 up, that's 130. Now how can I figure out the missing angle? Well, take 180 minus the 130. And what's left over is the measure of that missing angle. Now check it. These are really easy to check. 80 plus 50 plus 50 add up to 180. Remember, the three angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 exactly. Nothing less, nothing more. All right, let's briefly talk about quadrilaterals. Now, what's a quadrilateral? Let's see, triangles, 3 sides. What's a quadrilateral? 4 sides. Now, in a quadrilateral, I can have, let's start with some familiar territory here. What's a square? Well, it's 4 sides, right? Now notice as a square, it says a square is a rhombus. Now what the heck is a rhombus? Let's go over to rhombus here. A rhombus is equilateral, meaning that all 4 sides are equal. So I've attempted to make all 4 sides look equal, right? And it's what we call a parallelogram. Well, what the heck's a parallelogram? I'll go up here. A parallelogram is where you have 2 pairs of parallel sides. That's not 11, that's a parallel. So in other words, notice that this side and this side look like they'll never meet, right? They're parallel. And if I drew this a little better, looks like those 2 sides will never meet. If those 2 sides kept on going, they never meet. Now a symbol for parallel is 2 arrows. So those 2 sides are parallel, then I'll use 2 pairs of arrows for showing those are parallel. So parallelogram means you have simply 2 pairs of sides that are parallel. So back to rhombus. A rhombus is equilateral and it's a parallelogram. Notice my opposite sides are parallel. That's a rhombus. So now let's go back to square. A square is a rhombus, meaning what? Meaning it's equilateral and it's a parallelogram. And it has one more characteristic that makes it different than a rhombus or a parallelogram. It has 4 right angles. That is a square. All right, what is a rectangle? A rectangle is a parallelogram, meaning it has 2 pairs of opposite sides parallel with 4 right angles. Now wait a minute now. That seems kind of the same thing, sounds the same thing as a square. What's the difference between a square and a rectangle? Well, a square has 4 equal sides, right? Because a square is a rhombus, it's equilateral. But a rectangle doesn't, there's nothing that says that it's equilateral. There's nothing that says that it's a rhombus, okay, that has 4 equal sides. So the difference between a rectangle and a square is a square has 4 equal sides, right? And a rectangle doesn't. Now a trapezoid, you only have 1 pair of parallel sides. Notice I have only 1 pair of sides that are parallel. These sides, if they kept on going, they're going to cross. They're not parallel. So a trapezoid is another type of 4-sided figure. That's easy to recognize. It only has 1 pair of parallel sides. Lots of information in this lesson. We will discuss it, and you need to ask questions on it. So the topic was angles, polygons, triangles, and quadrilaterals.